This week, we are at the IRONMAN UK in Bolton. Meet the defending champion Dan Halksworth. And check out who else is in the running for gold in Britain. The Ironman Europe Tour visits Bolton in the northwest of England. Internationally known for its Premier League football club, the Wanderers, Bolton has become an Ironman hotspot, hosting Ironman UK for the 5th time. Triathletes will start their long journey to that coveted medal with a swim in the picturesque Pennington Flash.
So we have 2 laps here. We start in the water. So from that point of view, we've got 1,600 athletes we need to get in there for 6 o'clock in the morning. And some of them are not that keen at the very start of the day. But they have a 1.2 mile circuit to do, and then they come out onto the bank here, and then they go back in for the second 1.2 miles. Well, I think as a bike course, it's an interesting one. It's a more challenging one than people expect when they look at the profile of the course itself. So it's got one big climb over Sheep House Lane, but I think the fact that athletes have got to do that 3 times does make it that bit more challenging on their legs. So from the feedback we've had from athletes, it's definitely a course that they feel tests them on the bike course, and there's a lot of people that we saw yesterday at the race briefing who are concerned about that bike cut-off. The marathon course we've got in Bolton has been described to me as a lollipop. So there's a section that you run directly point to point from T2 into town, and then after that you keep doing laps. So there's 3.5 laps in town. But the reason we did it that way is because it creates a much better atmosphere for the athletes and for the spectators, because they get to see each other much more on the course. There's no hills on it if you look at it on a profile, but in actual fact, running out of Bolton, there's a definite incline there that just keeps on going and going and going. So the athletes do start to feel it on the 3rd lap going around there. But it's certainly an enjoyable course for them, and I think that they have fun on it, which makes it a lot easier for them to get to the finish line.
Dan Halksworth from the island of Jersey is only in his 2nd year as an Ironman pro. An elite swimmer until the age of 21, Halksworth took up triathlon a couple of years ago. The 27-year-old, who turned up under the radar to win Ironman UK in 2012, is simply very fond of his job.
Swimming from the age of like 6, up and down and up and down and up and down all day long, before school, after school, and then and then coming into triathlon and being able to go and swim in different places, bike around loads of different country lanes and coastlines and mountains and running trails, just such a variety. And a lot of people say Ironman's tough and stuff like that, but for me, going out training is relaxing.
While Daniel was ahead of schedule in his maiden Ironman season, this year's goals are yet to be achieved. Aiming to qualify for Kona, Daniel needs to snatch a podium position in Bolton after not earning enough points at Ironman Frankfurt.
It's going to be really difficult. I've kind of not planned it particularly well, I admit that. And I didn't get the most out of what I wanted to do in Frankfurt. Fortunately, I lost quite a few points there, but it was a tough day in Frankfurt. I mean, you saw a lot of good pros suffering with the heat, and it was a really hard day. Unfortunately, I didn't race as well as I wanted to, but that means I had to turn up here to race and defend my title, which is quite scary. But I've just got to go out and get the best result I can get this weekend.
Halksworth will face illustrious competition from his teammate Stephen Bayliss, who plays an important role in Daniel's Ironman career.
Stephen was assigned to me as a mentor as such, and Stephen has been around, not just Stephen but Bella as well. Just between the 2 of them, they know so much about the sport, and it's been great learning as much as I can from them and training with them.
Before bike check-in, Daniel takes a little ride in the countryside. A fairly inexperienced Ironman still, how does he manage his nerves before the race?
I try not to picture how much it's going to hurt, because it's quite a scary thought. I just go through my little plan in my head. Normally just race morning. I try not to think about it before the race, like the day before, because otherwise you just stress out too much, and I just try and be relaxed as I can.
The afternoon before the race, Daniel hands out medals at the world's biggest Iron Kids. Back on the finish line, he recalls his 2012 victory, which he dedicated to his former coach.
Quite an emotional time for me, because my coach was quite sick at the time, and being able to win it and dedicate my win to him was a really special moment for me. So I think I managed to hold my tears in. I think when I gave my mum and dad a hug, I pretty much had a little tear, but yeah, it was just a really, really nice moment, and hopefully I can have a few more of those moments to come.
The evening before the race, Daniel Halksworth gets his bike ready for action. At T1, he meets a fellow pro, ready to lend a helping hand for a fast swim, power swimmer Harry Wiltshire.
If you want me to, just get on my feet so that you give me some room, and I'll try and hold 110s for as long as I can.
Yeah, happy days.
So, I'm quite happy to pull you around, but if you get on my feet and decide it's too slow, or the best way to split it is if I do 500 at 110, you come round, do a quick one, and then I go back on the front. And that should be enough to give us a couple of minutes. And then I'll be the one at the back of the bike group going.
Shortly after, the Iron couple, Bella and Stephen Bayliss, arrive. Former Ironman UK champion Stephen knows that Dan will give his all to defend his title.
Dan's fit, I know he's been racing well, and he's been improving all the time these last 2 years, so I hope and I expect we'll be close together, and it'll be the strongest man will win.
Four o'clock in the morning on race day. It's a very early start for Dan, rubbing shoulders with the two favourites Stephen Bayliss and Fraser Cartmel. The raindrops add to Dan's anxiety.
Once sort of race week comes upon you, you kind of just start feeling a little bit of tension, and you just got to try and block it out on race day, and they're going to be with you all day, so just ignore it now and ignore it later.
Strong biker Fraser Cartmel is looking forward to a tough race on two wheels.
It's a really demanding bike. It takes a lot longer than most other Ironman. You look at the times that you're out there, so it's a longer race that you're out racing. So that's something that I like. It's more of a strength course.
With transition 1 about to close, all athletes move towards the swim start in Pennington Flash.
Please be sure that your white bags are tied closed before you chuck them over the...
Joanna Carrott of Great Britain is part of a fine ladies field lining up at Ironman UK. She is joined by compatriot Lucy Gossage. As Dan Halksworth's parents are anxiously waiting for the race to start, the pros are getting ready to enter the waters of the lake, with all former champions sporting golden caps. Whilst the clouds have lifted, athletes ready themselves for a deep water start. The lake welcomes them with mild water temperatures of 22 degrees Celsius. Ironman UK begins with a 3.8-kilometre swim of two equally sized loops in Pennington Flash. There is an Australian exit where athletes run a couple of yards on dry land. At 6 a.m, the horn gives the starting signal for the 9th edition of Ironman UK. More than 1,600 triathletes transform the calm surface of the lake into a pool of frenzied action. Up front, Harry Wiltshire keeps his promise of pushing a fast pace, followed closely by the golden caps belonging to Dan Halksworth, Stephen Bayliss and Fraser Cartmel. Wiltshire clocks average speeds of 1 minute 5 seconds per 100 metres on the first lap. Approaching the Australian exit, the lead group has created a gap of 1 minute on the rest of the field. Behind them, the fastest woman is drawing nearer to the 1.9-kilometre mark. It is medical doctor and pro athlete Lucy Gossage. While she is 17 seconds ahead of Bella Bayliss, the next pro female is already 1 minute 37 behind. Back to the men's race, where Fraser Cartmel is losing touch, while the top three remain unchanged: Wiltshire, Halksworth and Bayliss. Having to navigate through the slower age groupers, more than 2 minutes slower in the second lap, Harry Wiltshire leads the trio out of the water with a swim time of 43.58. Daniel Halksworth is the first to follow Wiltshire into the tented T1, just ahead of his training partner Stephen Bayliss. Ready to set out on the 180k bike course through the countryside in the northwest of England, Bayliss is the first to mount his bike with Harry Wiltshire in tow. Merely a few seconds adrift, Dan Halksworth. Fraser Cartmel grabs his bike around half a minute later. In the meantime, the quickest lady comes ashore. Lucy Gossage is still in the leading position, and she is 1 minute 18 seconds faster than her closest competitor, Bella Bayliss. Most efficient in transition, Lucy Gossage leaves T1 with a comfortable lead. Three-time Ironman UK champion Bella Bayliss loses 1 minute in T1, embarking on her bike journey in the second position. With third place Joanna Carrot already through, Amy Forshaw grabs her bike in fourth. After the break, will Stephen Bayliss snatch the title from defending champion Dan Halksworth? And can Lucy Gossage be stopped on her way to her first Ironman crown? We are back on the bike at Ironman UK. From T1, athletes bike past Bolton before reaching a challenging climb of 12 kilometers, which they have to do 3 times prior to entering Transition 2. At the front of the race, Stephen Bayliss leads a group of 3. Followed by the fastest swimmer Harry Wiltshire and Dan Halksworth, Bayliss is clocking a fast pace early on the bike. A few kilometers into the bike, Halksworth passes Wiltshire, and the battle between mentor and protege is on. From this moment on, Stephen Bayliss and Daniel Halksworth continuously leapfrog each other for the lead. Even though they are pushing hard for a fast pace, Halksworth and Bayliss do not quite manage to pull away from Harry Wiltshire. "25k into the bike, Halksworth and Bayliss reach the climb of Sheep House Lane for the first time. Harry Wiltshire remains on their wheels. However, as they climb up towards the highest point of the course near Belmont, Wiltshire seems to be less at ease than his fellow competitors. In fourth position, with his T1 deficit increased by only a couple of seconds, Fraser Cartmel. Just over 50k into the bike, the Scot is going strong and has not lost touch with the lead yet. But then he takes a wrong turn, leaves the bike course and carries on for a couple of minutes before realizing his mistake. As he rides back, it is too late and too much time is lost. After 80 kilometers, Cartmel is more than 20 minutes behind. In the ladies' race, fastest swimmer Lucy Gossage remains in the lead, and she is clocking a fast average speed. On the first 50k of the bike, she has increased her lead over multiple Ironman champion Bella Bayliss by around 3 minutes. Whilst Bayliss is steadily losing ground on Gossage, she's able to keep the gap between her and her closest chaser to around 4 minutes. It is 36-year-old Joanna Carrott, the former furniture designer, who was in third position behind Bayliss. As the sun rises higher, we return to the men's race. Cheered on by Dan Halksworth's family and his girlfriend Chelsea, the leaders tackle the climb over the Sheep House Lane for the second time. Dan is closely followed by Stephen Bayliss. With dry roads and temperatures just over 20 degrees, they enjoy near ideal conditions approaching Belmont for the second time. In the meantime, Harry Wilshire has lost touch with the lead, and 2/3 into the race, he is more than 7 minutes adrift. And as the Bolton weather keeps up its friendly smile, Dan Halksworth is spurred on by the crowds on his third lap. After nearly 5 hours in the saddle, Halksworth and Bayliss get to T2. Having handed their bikes in unison, the training partners change into their racing flats before embarking on the foot race together. Who will make the first move? Trailing the leaders by 10 minutes and 3 seconds, Joe Skip of the UK has overtaken Harry Wilshire on the last lap and enters T2 in third position. In the women's race, Lucy Gossage continues to increase her lead by huge strides. With about 25k to go, Bella Bayliss is more than 15 minutes behind her fellow countrywoman. As Lucy Gossage dismounts her bike, she has built a massive gap over the chasers.
My computer broke, so I have no idea whether I bike too hard or not. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, but just hope I've got the right legs. Otherwise it's a bit embarrassing.
Nearly 19 minutes later, Bella Bayliss grabs her red transition bag, but she's not doing well. Utterly exhausted after the bike ride, she is having a hard time regaining her composure. A 12-time Ironman champion, she knows anything can happen on the marathon. She grits her teeth and starts the run. In the meantime, one of the race favourites, Fraser Cartmel, has pulled out.
Lost a lot of time, many minutes. I think sort of 20 minutes in the wrong direction. So that was on the first lap though. So finished the bike, and I mean I'm so far behind. I mean I don't want to. I'd love to finish, but there's more races this year, so hopefully Wales in September. Focus on that one.
From T2, athletes run 10k into Bolton before doing 4 laps in and out of town. At the front of the race, Daniel Halksworth and Stephen Bayliss are running side by side. Running isn't Daniel's strongest discipline, but in his relatively short Ironman career, the 27-year-old has done a lot of work to improve his running skills. On their way into the town of Bolton, the leaders are running at a fine pace of 3:50 per kilometre. Having passed the 15.8 kilometre mark, Joe Skipper is still in third. With his chasers only 15 seconds behind him, he needs to push hard. On the women's side, Lucy Gossage is in full control of the race. Flying through Bolton on her first 10k, Gossage has added another 5 minutes to her lead and now is nearly 25 minutes ahead. Still in second place, Bella Bayliss has overcome the moments of self-doubt, but she is visibly struggling to keep her pace. And breathing down her neck is Joanna Carrott, who is coming closer with every step she takes. As Bayliss reaches an aid station, she needs to take a comfort break. And all of a sudden, Joanna Carrott finds herself in second place. But Bayliss is not giving up, and even though she keeps struggling 15k into her marathon, she seems determined to reach the finish line. Up front, Stephen Bayliss and Dan Halksworth are still running shoulder to shoulder. But around 17k into the marathon, Daniel Halksworth makes a brave move and starts to break away from his friend and mentor, Stephen Bayliss. Throughout the next 7k, Dan continually increases his gap. And at the 24.6k mark, Stephen Bayliss is trailing by already 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Back to the women's race, where Lucy Gossage keeps extending her lead with every kilometre. What an impressive marathon by the 33-year-old. "25k into the run, Joanna Carrot is more than half an hour adrift.
Come on, Joe, you're looking good.
Only 33k into the run, Daniel Halksworth runs towards the finishing stretch in firm belief that his race is over. Quickly realizing his mistake, he turns around and embarks on his final lap. It will be a tough call for Halksworth to keep up his fast pace. How will he cope with another 9k? But behind him, Stephen Bayliss fails to really take advantage of Hawksworth's mistake. Despite reducing his deficit by 2 minutes, he does not manage to pose a real threat to the defending champion. While Daniel stays seemingly calm, managing to not slow down significantly. And after 8 hours and 45 minutes, Daniel can finally bask in the support of the Bolton crowds. With his girlfriend and family eagerly awaiting him on the finish line, Daniel is the happiest man to defend his title. With a strong race from start to finish, nearly jeopardized at the end, Dan crosses the finish line after 8 hours, 45 minutes and 48 seconds. What a triumph!
I didn't feel too bad. I went for a little bit of a bad stage on the third lap going out to the turnaround point, but started to feel good on the way back down, and then felt really good coming into the finish, and then all of a sudden realised I had another lap, and I was like, oh God, here we go. It was quite tough out there. You know, I'm just really pleased to defend my title, and hopefully that'll set me up with some good sponsors next year.
3 minutes and 37 seconds later, Stephen Bayliss reaches the finish after a long and difficult day.
Third time, second again, but I'm happy to have got second. At one stage I was really struggling and thinking that I was going to lose quite a few places. Disappointed to have gone through a bad patch, but Dan was really good. He did a great race.
In third position, Joe Skipper, who secured his first ever Ironman podium with a sub 3-hour marathon time. In the women's race, Lucy Gossage savours the last steps en route to her first Ironman title. Leading the field from start to finish, she was really untouchable on this day. And after 9 hours, 29 minutes and 12 seconds, an overjoyed Gossage crosses the finish line in 9th overall.
Really pleased. I've never led a race from start to finish before, and yeah, it just felt really easy until the last hour on the run, and then it just hit me with about 11 miles to go. So I had a tough patch, but yeah, great course, great support. I love racing in England. It's just so much fun.
36 minutes later, Joanna Carrot is on the last meters, taking second place, which is her best result in a full Ironman race so far.
I'm ecstatic, I really am. I had to work very hard for it. It was a bit of luck for me that I took second place, because I was in third all the way around the bike course. Bella had to make a toilet stop and give me the opportunity to pass her, and from that point on I was running scared, and I was just paranoid that she was going to come back to me. I know what a great athlete Bella Bayliss is.
Bella Bayliss was also passed by Amy Forshaw in the last 4k of the run. A very happy third. Forshaw reaches the finish line 59 minutes after Lucy Gossage. While night settles over Victoria Square, Lucy Gossage hands out medals to the smiling age groupers who have fulfilled their Ironman dreams. And after 17 hours and 17 minutes, with the rain pouring down, the last Ironman crosses the finish line. What determination! In this week's Kona Pro rankings, despite earning 1,000 points with his victory in the UK, reaching Kona is still a major challenge for Daniel Halksworth. He needs a top 10 result at the North American Championship in Mont Tremblant to secure sufficient points. For the ladies, with only a few weeks remaining till the final cutoff, pro women just outside the points are racing around the world, looking to be one of the last 7 women to make it. Next week, we travel to the Ironman 70.3 European Championship in Wiesbaden, Germany, where we focus on Sebastian Kienle in his quest to add the European crown to his world title.